I am a magnet for divine wealth. I speak this now not as a stranger to abundance trying to convince myself of something foreign, but as one who is remembering what was always true. I am a magnet for divine wealth. These words are not the beginning of something new. They are the uncovering of something ancient, something written into the fabric of my being before I took my first breath, before I spoke my first word, before I ever knew what money was or what lack felt like. I was created in the image of a God who lacks nothing. I was fashioned from the substance of a universe that overflows with supply. I was designed to reflect the fullness of the divine, not the smallness of fear. And today I return to that design. Today, I step back into the truth of who I am. I am a magnet for divine wealth, and money flows to me freely now. I understand something today that I did not fully understand before. The shift I need is not first in my bank account. The shift I need is not first in my circumstances. The shift I need is not first in my job or my business or the economy around me. The shift I need is first in my identity. It is first in how I see myself. It is first in what I believe, at the deepest level, about who I am, in relation to money, in relation to abundance, in relation to the infinite supply of God. Because what I believe about myself at the core of my being is what I will attract without effort, what I will draw without striving, what I will magnetize without manipulation. My outer world is always a reflection of my inner world. My financial life is always a mirror of my financial identity. And today, I am changing the identity. Today, I am shifting the mirror. Today, I am deciding once and for all who I am. I am not a person who struggles with money. That is not my identity. That was never meant to be my identity. It was a story I absorbed, a narrative I inherited, a role I stepped into without realizing I had a choice. But I have a choice. I have always had a choice. And today, I choose differently. I choose the identity that God assigned to me before the foundations of the world were laid. I choose the identity of one who is abundantly supplied, richly provided for, overflowing with the goodness of God in every area of life, including the financial. I choose the identity of the one who attracts wealth naturally, who receives increase effortlessly, who lives in the flow of divine supply, as easily and as naturally as breathing. This is not who I am becoming. This is who I already am at the level of spirit. And what is true in spirit always becomes true in the natural when I align my mind, my words, and my beliefs with that spiritual truth. Money flows to me freely. I say it again, and I let it move past my ear and settle into my chest. Money flows to me freely, not with great difficulty, not through grinding and straining and exhausting every resource I have, not through fear-driven hustle that leaves me depleted and desperate. Freely. The word freely is doing something important in this declaration. It is establishing the nature of the flow. It is saying, the supply does not resist me. It is saying, abundance does not have to be forced toward me. It is saying that money, in its right relationship with my life, moves toward me the way water moves toward the ocean, the way light moves toward an open window, naturally, effortlessly, inevitably. Money flows to me freely because I have aligned myself with the source from which all supply flows. And when I am aligned with the source, nothing can stop the flow from reaching me. I now speak to the part of me that was shaped by a poverty consciousness. I speak to the inner voice that learned to be suspicious of abundance, that learned to feel guilty about wanting wealth, that learned to believe that having money was somehow incompatible with being a good person or a spiritual person or a humble person. I speak to that voice now with compassion and with truth. I see where you came from. I understand the messages that formed you. Some of those messages came from people who loved me. Some came from religion, misunderstood. Some came from watching people I respected struggle financially and concluding that struggle was noble and abundance was suspect. I hold no bitterness toward any of it, but I release all of it now. I release every belief that told me wealthy people are greedy and poor people are holy. I release every thought that told me wanting abundance was the same as being materialistic. I release every story that told me God is more pleased with my lack than with my overflow. None of that is truth. None of that is the Word of God. The Word of God says He takes pleasure in the prosperity of His servant, and I receive that today. I receive the pleasure of God over my prosperity. Wealth is not something outside of me that I must chase and catch and hold before it escapes. Wealth is something within me that I must uncover and release and allow to express. The wealth is already in me in spirit. The abundance is already in me in seed form. The divine supply is already within me as potential, as possibility, as a living truth that has been waiting for me to agree with it. When I shift my identity to one who is wealthy in spirit first, I am not pretending to be something I am not. I am aligning with the deepest truth of what I am. I am a child of the God who owns everything. I am an heir of the kingdom that lacks nothing. I am a vessel of the Spirit that is the source of all supply. The wealth is mine by birthright. The abundance is mine by inheritance. The overflow is mine by divine law. I am simply waking up to what was always true, and as I wake up to it, as I align with it, as I speak it and live it and believe it from the inside out, it begins to show up in my outer world in undeniable and increasing ways. I now declare that my relationship with money is being completely healed and transformed. I no longer relate to money from a place of fear. I no longer approach financial matters with a tight chest and a racing mind and the desperate energy of one who is always behind, always catching up, always one expense away from crisis. That relationship is ending now. A new relationship is beginning. In this new relationship, I am calm about money. I am clear about money. I am wise about money. I see money for what it truly is, a tool, a servant, a medium through which divine supply flows in the natural world. I am not beneath money. I do not worship money. I am not afraid of money. I am the one who directs money, who manages money, who blesses money and watches it multiply, who gives money freely and receives it joyfully, who holds money lightly and watches it return in greater measure. Money and I are in a right relationship now. It serves me. I steward it. God is the source of all of it. I am shifting my identity now at the deepest possible level, not the surface level of repeated words alone, though words have tremendous power, not the level of motivation that fades when circumstances press back hard. I am shifting at the level of my core belief, the belief that lives deeper than thought, the belief that operates below consciousness. The belief that has been running my financial life like a program running in the background of a computer. That program is being rewritten now. The old code said, you are someone who struggles with money. You are someone for whom abundance is always just out of reach. You are someone whose financial story is defined by lack and by effort and by never quite having enough. I delete that code now. I write a new program. The new program says, I am someone in whom divine wealth flows freely. I am someone for whom abundance is the natural state. I am someone whose financial story is being written by God, and the God who writes my story has unlimited resources and limitless imagination and a heart full of generosity toward me. That is my new program. That is my new identity. That is who I am. As I become wealthy in spirit first, I notice the way I think about money beginning to change. I notice that when I see someone else thriving financially, I feel genuine joy rather than the old sting of comparison. Their abundance is not taking anything from mine. The supply of God is not limited by how many people draw from it. The river does not run dry because many are drinking from it. The more people who receive, the more the flow increases. I celebrate every testimony of financial blessing I witness. I celebrate every story of debt canceled and abundance received and breakthrough manifested. Because every testimony is proof that the law works. Every testimony is evidence that what I am declaring for my own life is not fantasy, but reality. If the law has worked for one, it will work for all who align with it. I am aligned with it. I celebrate. I rejoice. And in rejoicing for others, I open my own channel to receive. My magnetism for wealth is not something I turn on and off depending on how I feel. My magnetism for wealth is a constant, a fixed quality of my new identity, something that operates whether I am asleep or awake, whether I am working or resting, whether I feel particularly spiritual on a given day, or whether I feel ordinary and tired and unremarkable. The law of attraction is not a reward for my best days. It is a constant operation of spiritual physics. What I am on the inside, consistently and persistently, is what I magnetize on the outside continuously. And on the inside, I am now consistently and persistently one thing: a child of God, aligned with divine supply, living from the consciousness of abundance, attracting wealth freely and receiving it gratefully. That does not change with my mood. That is my identity. And my identity operates at all times. I now speak to every financial dream I have held quietly in my heart, perhaps too afraid to speak aloud, perhaps too bruised by past disappointment to risk the vulnerability of naming it out loud again. I speak to those dreams now and I say, come up, come to the surface, come out of hiding. You are safe now. The one who holds you has shifted. The one who carries you is not the same fearful person who buried you for protection. I am new. My identity is new. My relationship with abundance is new. And the dreams I carry are not too large for the God who placed them in me. They are not too bold for the law of divine supply. They are not too specific or too significant or too seemingly impossible for the source from which all things come. I name my dreams now. I hold them up to the light of divine truth. I declare they are possible. I declare they are on their way. I declare that the version of me who was wealthy in spirit first is the version of me who sees every one of these dreams become physical reality. Money is coming to me from sources I know and from sources I have not yet imagined. Money is moving toward me right now through the channels that are already open and through channels that are opening specifically for this season of my life. I do not need to see all the channels to trust the flow. I do not need to understand the route to receive the supply. I only need to remain in alignment with the source, remain in the identity of one who is a magnet for divine wealth, remain in the consciousness of one who is wealthy in spirit, and the money will find its way to me through every avenue that divine intelligence has prepared. An unexpected check arrives. A conversation leads to an opportunity I never anticipated. A skill I have always had suddenly becomes valuable in a new way. An idea comes to me in the quiet that generates income I could not have planned for. The source is creative. The source is resourceful. The source has more routes to my door than I could ever count, and all of them are opening now. I release now every block that has stood between me and the full flow of divine wealth. I release the block of unworthiness, the deep-seated whisper that says people like me do not get to have great wealth, that abundance on that scale is for other kinds of people, other levels of education, other levels of talent, other families, other starting points. That block is released now. I am worthy of wealth, not because of what I have achieved, or who I have impressed, or how hard I have worked, but because of who I am. I am a child of the living God, and that is sufficient qualification for every good thing the Father has prepared. I release the block of guilt, the feeling that having much while others have little is wrong, that receiving abundance is somehow taking from the collective supply. Abundance is not a pie with limited slices. Abundance is an infinite river. My receiving does not diminish anyone else's portion. My overflow creates opportunities to bless others and multiply the supply in my sphere. I release the block of fear, the fear that if I have much it could be taken, that abundance is fragile, that prosperity is temporary. that the ground of financial security will shift beneath me the moment I relax into it. I have a source that cannot be shaken. I have a supply that does not depend on earthly conditions. I have a foundation that holds in every season. I stand on that foundation now without fear. I now see myself as God sees me financially. I take a moment to receive that vision. God does not see me as financially struggling. God does not see me as someone defined by debt or limited by lack. God sees me as the wealthy heir of a kingdom that has no shortage. God sees me as the vessel through which divine prosperity flows into the world. God sees me as the one who gives generously and receives abundantly, who blesses freely and is blessed continuously, who manages well and is trusted with much. I receive that vision of myself now. I hold it. I let it replace every diminished image I have ever carried about my financial self. I am who God says I am. I have what God says I have. I can do what God says I can do. And God says I am abundantly supplied in all things. The identity of a wealthy person in spirit is not an arrogant identity. It is a surrendered identity. It is the identity of one who has stopped insisting on the smallness that fear preferred and has yielded to the largeness that love prepared. It is the identity of one who has stopped arguing for limitation and has agreed with possibility. It is the identity of one who has stopped performing poverty out of some misguided spiritual humility and has accepted the wealth that the Father offers with the simple, grateful heart of a child who knows their Father is good. I accept it now with the simplicity of a child. I do not complicate it. I do not qualify it with 100 conditions and doubts. I simply receive. My Father is good. My Father is generous. My Father has prepared good things for me. I receive them. I say thank you. I say yes. I am becoming daily more comfortable with abundance. I am becoming daily more natural in the atmosphere of wealth. I am becoming daily more at ease with the idea of having much, giving much, building much, blessing much. The discomfort that once arose when I imagined myself financially free is dissolving. The awkwardness that once attended the thought of true prosperity is fading. In its place is a settled ease, a rightness, a sense of coming home to something that always belonged to me. Wealth feels natural to me now. Abundance feels like my native atmosphere. Overflow feels like the water I was designed to swim in. I am adapting to my new identity every single day, and every day the adaptation goes deeper and takes more permanent root in the soil of my spirit. I speak now to the specific financial situation I am in right now, wherever it is, whatever it looks like, however far it feels from where I want to be. I speak to it with the authority of my new identity. You are not my permanent address. You are not my destiny. You are not the conclusion of my financial story. You are a chapter. You are a moment in the process of transformation. You are the before in a before and after testimony that is going to bless many people who are exactly where I am right now. I am not defined by my current financial situation. I am defined by my identity in God. And my identity in God is that of one who is wealthy in spirit, supplied by the infinite, attracting divine wealth freely and continuously. My situation is changing. My circumstances are shifting. The invisible is becoming visible. The spiritual is becoming physical. The word I have spoken is becoming flesh in my financial life, and I will see it, and I will give God all the glory for every single detail of the miracle. I now fix my vision not on what is, but on what is becoming. I do not ignore reality. I do not pretend the challenges are not real. I simply choose not to give them the final word. I choose to give the final word to the truth of divine law. And the truth of divine law says that I am a magnet for divine wealth, that money flows to me freely, that my identity is one of abundance and not lack, that my Father is the source of all supply, and that source does not run dry. I fix my vision on that truth. I build my inner life on that truth. I speak my words from that truth. I make my decisions from that truth. And as I do, day by day, and declaration by declaration, and act of faith by act of faith, the outer world begins to conform to the inner truth I am holding. The circumstances begin to shift, the opportunities begin to appear, the money begins to flow, the restoration begins to manifest. The abundance begins to show up in ways that are undeniable and specific and deeply personal and perfectly timed. My words are seeds of wealth. Every declaration I speak today is a seed I am planting in the soil of divine law. I plant these seeds now with full expectation of harvest. I do not plant and then dig them up with my doubt. I do not plant and then starve the soil with my fear. I plant with faith, and I water with gratitude, and I tend with consistent declaration, and I trust the harvest to the God who makes all seeds grow in perfect season. The harvest from these seeds will be financial abundance in forms I have prayed for and forms I have not yet thought to pray for. The harvest will be overflow. The harvest will be more than enough. The harvest will be the kind of financial testimony that causes others to ask what happened and gives me the joy of pointing them to the source. I give thanks now for who I am becoming. I give thanks for the identity that is settling in my spirit, like deep roots taking hold in rich soil. I give thanks for the shift that is happening in me, even now as I speak these words. The shift from a poverty identity to a prosperity identity, from a lack consciousness to an abundance consciousness, from one who chases money to one whom money follows, from one who is always behind to one who is always supplied. I give thanks for the divine wealth that is flowing to me freely right now in the invisible. I give thanks for the channels that are opening. I give thanks for the ideas that are forming. I give thanks for the connections that are being arranged. I give thanks for the supply that has already left the storehouse of heaven and is making its way into the circumstances of my natural life. I give thanks. I give thanks. I give thanks. I am a magnet for divine wealth. I say it one final time, and I say it from the deepest place in my spirit, where the shift has already happened, where the identity is already established, where the truth is already settled. I am a magnet for divine wealth. Money flows to me freely. I am wealthy in spirit first, and that spiritual wealth is now manifesting in every area of my natural financial life. I do not chase, I attract. I do not beg, I receive. I do not strive from fear, I act from abundance. I do not grasp, I open my hands and let the flow come. God is my source. Divine law is my foundation. My new identity is my magnet. And the wealth that belongs to me by divine right is flowing toward me now from every direction, through every prepared channel, in perfect timing, under grace, in the most perfect ways. I am grateful, I am ready, I am open, I receive it now, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. There is a version of me that has always existed in the mind of God, a version of me that has never known lack, a version of me that has never lain awake at night, calculating how to cover what cannot be covered, a version of me that has never felt the shame of financial inadequacy or the exhaustion of financial struggle or the quiet despair that comes from working hard and still not having enough. That version of me exists in the mind of God as the intended version, the designed version, the version that was always meant to walk the earth. And today, I am closing the gap between the version I have been living and the version I was designed to be. I am stepping into my God-designed financial identity. I am becoming in the natural what I have always been in the spirit. I am catching up to myself. I am walking into the me that God always saw when He looked in my direction. The shift from a poverty identity to a wealth identity in spirit is not a shift of ego, it is a shift of alignment. I am not becoming arrogant. I am becoming accurate. I am not overestimating my worth. I am simply stopping the chronic underestimation that has cost me so much for so long. Every time I agreed with a thought that said I cannot afford abundance, I was being inaccurate. I was accepting a false statement about my spiritual reality. Every time I agreed with a feeling that said, wealth is not for people like me, I was agreeing with a lie that contradicted the truth of my divine inheritance. I am done being inaccurate about myself. I am done agreeing with lies about my financial identity. I am only agreeing with truth from this moment forward. And the truth is, I am worthy of wealth. I am designed for abundance. I am a magnet for divine supply. This is accurate. This is true. This is who I am. I now align every part of myself with this new, accurate identity. I align my thoughts. When a thought of lack arises, I do not fight it with frustration. I simply replace it with the truth. The truth is, I am supplied. The truth is, I am a magnet. The truth is, money flows to me freely. I align my words. I no longer speak casually from the old poverty identity. I no longer say things like, I am broke, or I cannot afford it, or money never stays with me, or rich people are just lucky. Those words were seeds of the wrong harvest. I plant new seeds now. I speak abundance. I speak supply. I speak overflow. I speak the truth about what divine law has established in my life. I align my actions. I begin to make financial decisions from the identity of abundance rather than the identity of lack. I begin to give more freely because I know the source replenishes. I begin to invest with faith because I know the law of increase operates in my life. I begin to manage wisely because I know more is coming, and I want to be a faithful steward of every bit of it. The feeling of wealth in spirit is a specific feeling, and I am cultivating it deliberately. It is not a feeling of having everything already in hand. It is a feeling of certainty that everything needed is on its way. It is a deep interior ease about finances, a relaxation of the constant grip of financial anxiety, a settled trust that the source is faithful and the supply is moving. I cultivate this feeling now. I breathe into it. I let it expand in my chest. I let it relax the muscles in my shoulders and my jaw and my stomach that have been holding the tension of financial fear for too long. I let the feeling of divinely supplied, deeply provided for, abundantly cared for, move through me like warm water moving through cold pipes. The cold is melting. The tension is releasing. The flow is beginning. The wealthy spirit identity is settling in and making itself at home in the house of my inner life. I now see money differently than I ever have before. I no longer see money as the master I must serve, or the enemy I must fear, or the scarce resource I must hoard or compete for. I see money as it truly is. I see it as energy. I see it as a form of divine supply moving through the natural world. I see it as a servant of purpose and a tool of blessing, and a medium through which good things happen, and good lives are built, and good causes are funded, and good people are able to show up fully in their calling, without the distraction of financial strain. Money is a good thing in the hands of a person with a good heart and a clear purpose. I have a good heart. I have a clear purpose. Money in my hands will do good in this world. It will care for my family. It will bless others. It will fund the work God has given me to do. It will demonstrate the goodness of God to everyone who witnesses what happens in my financial life. I welcome money now. I see it clearly. I receive it gratefully. I use it purposefully. I release it generously, and it comes back to me multiplied. I working. I sign. I re, 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 I re. The divine wealth I am magnetizing is not only money in my accounts, though it includes that fully and without apology. It is also the wealth of wisdom that allows me to make excellent financial decisions. It is the wealth of divine ideas that generate income in ways I could not have contrived through human cleverness alone. It is the wealth of divine connections, the right people appearing at the right moments carrying the right opportunities, perfectly timed for this season of my life. It is the wealth of divine favor, that invisible quality that causes things to go well for me in financial matters, in ways that exceed what my natural qualifications alone would produce. It is the wealth of divine timing, the miracle of doors opening at exactly the moment I am ready to walk through them. I receive all of these dimensions of divine wealth now. I am a magnet for all of it. My identity as one who is wealthy in spirit draws all of it into my life freely and continuously. I now speak to the timeline of my financial restoration and my financial increase. I do not give God a deadline. I do not tell the source when and how and through which specific channel the supply must arrive. But I do declare that the supply is moving. I do declare that the timeline is in divine hands, and divine hands are never slow, never forgetful, never careless about what they have promised. Divine timing is always perfect. What feels like delay from the perspective of my limited human view is always preparation from the perspective of divine intelligence. Every moment I have waited has been a moment in which something necessary was being prepared. Every season that felt dry was a season in which the soil of my spirit was being enriched for the coming harvest. I do not resent the waiting. I honor it. I give thanks for what it built in me, and I declare that the waiting is complete for this season. The preparation is finished. The alignment is established. The identity is new. The supply is moving. The harvest is arriving now, in perfect timing, in perfect order, in the most perfect way. I now release the need to understand exactly how the wealth will come. This is one of the most important releases I can make. The poverty identity loved to control the how because it did not trust the source enough to let the source choose the route. The wealthy spirit identity trusts completely. It says the source knows the best way, and I do not need to supervise the delivery. All I need to do is stay in alignment, stay in the right identity, stay speaking the truth and giving thanks and acting with wisdom when direction is given. The source will handle the how. The source will open the doors, arrange the meetings, inspire the ideas, move the hearts of the right people, clear the obstacles, illuminate the path. My job is to walk it faithfully. My job is to say yes when the opportunity comes. My job is to act with courage when direction arrives. My job is to be a faithful and willing vessel for the divine wealth that is flowing toward me right now. I carry within me right now every seed of the abundant financial life I am declaring. Every seed is present. Every seed is alive. Every seed is ready to grow. The seed of divine ideas that will generate significant income. The seed of divine connections that will open doors I cannot open alone. The seed of divine wisdom that will guide every financial decision I make from this day forward. The seed of divine favor that will cause good things to happen for me in the financial realm in ways that exceed natural explanation. The seed of divine timing that will bring every prepared blessing to my door at exactly the moment I am ready and able to receive it. All of these seeds are in me. All of them are growing right now beneath the surface of my visible reality. And when they break through, when they emerge into the visible world as manifested abundance, the harvest will be extraordinary. The harvest will be more than I asked for. The harvest will be more than I imagined. Because the seeds were planted by a God of extravagant generosity and watered by the faithfulness of divine law and grown in the soil of a spirit that has finally come home to its true wealthy identity. I am a magnet for divine wealth. I live in this truth now. I breathe in this truth. I make every decision from this truth. I speak every word from this truth. I wake up into this truth every morning, and I lay down in this truth every evening. It is not something I do on special occasions or in moments of spiritual intensity. It is the constant ground of my existence. It is my new normal. Wealth consciousness is my permanent address now. Abundance is the air I breathe in my inner life. Divine supply is the water I drink in my spirit every single day. And because of this, because of who I am on the inside, the outside cannot help but conform. The financial circumstances of my life cannot help but begin to reflect the wealthy spirit identity I have claimed. The outer world is always catching up to the inner world, and my inner world is wealthy, supplied, free, overflowing, at peace, and full of gratitude. I give thanks for this truth. I give thanks for this shift. I give thanks for the divine wealth that is mine, by identity, by inheritance, by the word of God, and by the law of the Spirit. I give thanks for the money flowing to me freely right now. I give thanks for every channel already open and every channel still opening. I give thanks for the wisdom guiding me, the favor surrounding me, the divine ideas coming to me, the perfect connections being arranged for me. I give thanks for the version of myself that is wealthy in spirit first, and for the outer life that is now conforming to that inner truth. I give thanks now. I give thanks in faith. I give thanks before the full manifestation appears because I know it is already done in spirit, and what is done in spirit always appears in the natural. I am a magnet for divine wealth. Money flows to me freely. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. I want to speak now to the person who has been trying so hard. The person who has done everything right by human standards. Who has worked diligently and given faithfully and lived responsibly, and still found themselves looking at a financial reality that does not match the effort they have invested. I speak to that person now because I have been that person. I know what it is to do everything that is expected and still feel financially behind. I know what it is to give when you barely have enough to give and to wonder if the law is actually working or if you simply drew a shorter straw than others. I want to speak truth into that exhaustion and that confusion and that quiet desperation. The law is working. The investment is not lost. The faithfulness is not overlooked. What has been building in you through the difficulty, the depth of faith, the quality of character, the capacity for gratitude in the middle of lack, these are not just byproducts of a hard season. They are the very qualities that will allow you to carry the wealth that is coming without being destroyed by it, or defined by it, or distorted by it. You were being made ready, and you are ready now. Today is a new day in my financial story. Not because the numbers have all changed overnight, not because every challenge has been instantly resolved, but because I have changed. Because the one who holds the numbers has shifted at the level of identity. Because the one who faces the challenges is no longer the fearful, poverty-identified person who met every financial difficulty with a sinking heart. I am new. My identity is new. My consciousness is new. My relationship with money is new. My agreement with divine law is established. My magnetism for divine wealth is activated. And from this new place, from this wealthy spirit identity, every situation I face is being approached differently, responded to differently, spoken over differently. And because of that, everything is changing. Slowly in some cases and suddenly in others, but changing absolutely, changing certainly, changing in alignment with the unbreakable divine law that says what is true in spirit must become true in the natural for the one who believes. I close this declaration today with a final settling into truth. I settle in. I stop striving. I stop performing. I stop trying to make this happen through the force of my own energy and effort. I settle into the truth like sinking into the most comfortable and safe and held place I have ever known. The truth is this: God is my source. Divine law is my foundation. My identity is that of one who is wealthy in spirit and becoming increasingly wealthy in the natural. Money flows to me freely because I am aligned with the source from which all money flows. I am a magnet for divine wealth because I have accepted the identity that God assigned to me before the world began. Everything I need is already prepared. Everything I desire is already in process. Everything I have declared is already established in the Spirit, and manifesting in the natural, in perfect timing, under perfect grace, in the most perfect ways. I receive it all now, with a quiet heart, with a grateful spirit, with open hands and lifted eyes. I receive the wealth, I receive the flow, I receive the identity, I receive the truth. I am a magnet for divine wealth. Money flows to me freely. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.